In 2017, Charles Leclerc had the most impressive Formula 2 season of all time, in my opinion. 7 wins from 22 sprint and feature rounds, 10 out of 22 on the podium. That's almost a 50% podium hit rate. And the cherry on top, he managed 8 pole positions in 11 events. That's 72%. But even with all that success, Charles couldn't quite match the incredibly impressive achievement from a young 17-year-old Ferrari junior driver in Formula 2 this weekend. Azerbaijan Grand Prix, P1 in practice, nice. P1 in qualifying with broken steering, very nice. P1 in the top 10 reverse grid sprint racing, not crashing when everyone else decided to. Blimey. And then he went on to convert that pole position to a win in the feature race. A faultless weekend. The only thing he didn't get was fastest lap. A whitewash that is unheard of since modern F2 began in 2017. The lad was driving a Prema as well, just as Charles did years before him. So let's talk about him. Ferrari's brightest light for the future, perhaps? Leclerc 2.0 regen? Maybe. Remember the name? Ollie Bearman. Okay, so am I a bit biased here? Probably. Okay, I'm going to be very open and honest, and then okay, you're going to take what Tommo's saying with a bit of a pinch of salt, but I'm going to present the facts today. Why am I biased? Well, Ollie is British, which triggers my uncontrollable British bias. I can feel it seeping out of my skin. But secondly, he is from the town where I live. He's from Chelmsford. So obviously I therefore have a little bit of a degree of additional investment in his career and his development. Although my favourite driver is still Oyumo Iwasa, okay? I do stand by the Leclerc comparison. And by the end of this video, I think you might as well. But think for yourself. Don't just take my word for it. And this all actually came from a slightly hyperbolic tweet I made about Ollie Bearman after the race, where I was certainly gassing him up. And it got quite a response. Prompted me to dive a little bit deeper to check myself and see, well, is this gas justified? Let's find out. So I want to compare them head to head. I'm going to start with their final year in karts and then go through their early junior Formula seasons head to head, so you did the better job relative, I guess. Both were incredibly competitive in their final year of karts, unsurprisingly. Charles went down the slightly more high profile route, I'd say. He managed to win the super prestigious South Garda Cup P1 there and managed a P2 in the CRK FIA World Championship in the KZ2 class. Both results achieved in 2013. It done bits before graduating for 2014 to open wheelers. Ollie's equivalent year, his final year in karts, was 2020. 2020! That's when the world was ending and we were stuck inside and he was still in karts. But anyway, he won the IAME Winter Cup in the X30 senior class that year, meaning that they both took championship victories in their final year of karts. It's a good sign. Charles' championships were maybe a little bit more prestigious, but you can only beat who's in front of you. Junior Formulas Year 1. Charles' main competition in 2014 was the Formula Renault 2.0 Alps series. Finished P2, comfortably ahead of George Russell, but comfortably behind Nick de Vries, which you might be surprised because obviously Charles at a much higher level than Nick right now. However, Nick is also like 3 years older than Charles, so at this early stage, fair enough. Charles took back-to-back wins in Monza, and as the season went on, his results gradually got better, which makes sense his first year in open wheelers. You know, it's a big learning curve going from karts to little Formula cars. As for Ollie, well, we're going to stay in 2020 for him because that is the year he also made his debut in open wheelers. He dabbled in a few Italian F4 races, winning in Vallelunga. But in 2020, his first full open wheeler season debut was in ADAC F4, so German F4 basically. Ollie did take a win and a couple of P3s, but he only managed a P7 in the championship. Johnny Edgar and Zach Crawford, both Red Bull juniors, were P1 and 2 in the title. Not a stinker from Ollie by any stretch. Again, he won a race, got a couple of podiums, but was it as impressive as Charles' performance to beat George and all these other young talents in Formula Renault 2.0 Alps? I think Charles edges it. Junior Formula Year 2. In 2015, Charles took the step up to FIA European Formula 3. Remember, this was when Formula 3 European and GP3 were two separate series and it wasn't just F3. Now, this was a field stacked with talent. So you've got current IndyCar driver Felix Rosenqvist. He won the title ahead of Antonio Giovinazzi, then Jake Dennis, Formula E driver, and then Charles in P4. He managed 4 wins. He took 9 podiums in the first 10 races, did Leclerc. And he finished ahead of Lance, George, and Alex. So with that young driver group who were all of kind of a similar age, Charles came out on top. Oh, and he managed a P2 finish in the Macau Grand Prix as well, just half a second off of race winner Felix Rosenqvist. But then we come on to 2021 for Ollie Bearman, and this is when things really started to click for him. He did another full season of ADAC F4, but this one was much better. 4 wins in the first 5 races, 11 podiums from the 18 rounds in total, a comfortable championship win for him here. But at the same time, he was also juggling Italian F4, and one that even more convincingly, he would have had a 9-race winning streak back to back to back to back to back. However, one of them he was disqualified for a car irregularity, so it was just a 7-race streak, just a 7-race winning streak. Madness. He took the title by over 100 points in the end. It wasn't even close. Also, Ollie made his debut in F3 machinery this year. He managed a few rounds in GB3, which is the UK Formula 3 Championship. Managed 2 P2s in the opening weekends and a win at Snetterton. 4 podiums in 9 rounds. Surely, if he'd done the whole championship, he'd have been fighting at the sharp end. Charles' second season in junior formulas was good, but Ollie's was even better, and his reward was being snapped up by the Ferrari Driver Academy at the end of 2021. Put on the books. Ferrari saw the ability, saw the results, paying dividends now, I think. Junior Formula Year 3. Charles in 2016 stepped across from European F3 to GP3, and this was the year he'd take his first championship victory, winning the title ahead of Alex Albon. I've talked about this in detail on my video looking at all the Formula 1 grids 7 years ago, so link above if you want to check that out. In short, he won 3 wins all season, although Alex actually took 1 more win. But I've got to get the prop in, haven't I? Come on. But then Ollie's third season in junior formulas was last season in Formula 3. If any of you watched last year, you'll know it came down to the wire. I mean, after event 7 of 9, which was at Spa, Ollie was P2 in the championship, just 1 point behind Isaac Hadjar. Unfortunately, event 8, Zandvoort, stinker. Nil point, nothing. He needed a big finish to the season. Event 9, Monza, managed 2 P2s in both the races. That gave him a P3 title finish, just 2 points behind Zane Maloney and 7 behind championship winner Victor Mata. Super strong from both. Again, I think Charles edges it. I mean, he won at the end of the day. Ollie could have won if things had gone slightly different, but then that's motorsport, isn't it? So they both didn't do their stock any harm, that's for sure. Junior Formula Year 4. Okay, so at the time of recording, we're 4 events deep into Ollie Bearman's debut F2 season. So therefore, I'm going to look at an equivalent time from line for Charles Leclerc, which is made much easier because Charles also made his debut F2 season appearance in his 4th year of junior formulas. As I said at the start of the video, this whole season for Leclerc was goated, and I mean, it started as it carried on. In those first 8 feature/sprint races, Charles managed 3 wins, a P4, a P3 and a P2. It was only his Monaco curse that stopped him from getting any points in the sprint or feature at Monaco. Plus, of course, I think it's important to mention that his P1 and P2 finish in Baku rounds 7 and 8 came just days after his dad Herve had passed away. Came at an incredibly difficult time. I can speak from experience, having lost my dad in my late 20s. To lose your dad in your late teens, that must be incredibly difficult. As for Ollie, well look, obviously 4 races in, if you take away Baku and just look at the first 3, they're not that impressive on paper. I mean, he's had this perfect weekend and he's still only sitting P4 in the championship. Talking of Tao, it was him who wiped out Ollie in the reverse grid sprint race at Saudi Arabia. Ollie was making really good progress. He was up to, I think, P5 at the time, considering he started P10, but then Porsche harpooned him into turn 1. The feature was a bit of a stinker from Ollie. To be fair, he lost position to Martin and Vesti, then spun on his own. He had a stinker. Big learning curve for him. So yes, Charles definitely had a more impressive first 4 events of his Formula 2 career than Ollie has at the moment. But there is one caveat I think is worth mentioning here. And this is just my opinion, because when I look at the quality on show, I think the Formula 2 grid in 2023 is more talented across the board than it was in 2017. No disrespect, okay, but Charles' title rivals were the likes of Ollie Rowland, Artem Markelov, Luca Giotto, Nicholas Latifi. Bearman has the likes of Porsche, Awassa, Hauger, Martin. For me, and I could be wrong because we don't know what these drivers are going to go on to achieve, but I think the relative standard is better now, so it's going to be more challenging for Ollie to pick up them wins, maybe. I mean, Prama's a top team. It was a top team back then for Charles. It's a top team now for Ollie, but I don't think it's as dominant as it once was as well. You look at ART right now, you look at MP, even Campos with Miney. You know, Miney's only a couple of points behind Bearman at the moment, and Campos is a team that hasn't done anything for so long, and it's great to see him fighting up at the top again. Look, if Bearman can win Formula 2 this year, which judging by last weekend's performance, it could happen. The momentum's on his side for sure. I do think his career will have been every bit as impressive as Charles Leclerc's was up to the same stage, if he wins it. And it's all the more impressive given he's just 17. He's about to turn 18 on the 8th of May, which will be just after this video comes out. So happy 18th birthday, geezer. When Charles was tearing up Formula 2, he was 19 going on 20. Ollie's 17 going on 18. Ollie has time on his side. The relative gap between the two of them realistically is about a year and a half. So if Ollie's this good now, still at 17, what could he be if he gets another year of F2 under his hat next year and then potentially gets a shot in Formula 1? I mean, if he keeps on this momentum, I don't see why not. But then again, we did say the same about Théo Pourchaire, and I don't think Théo's ever quite been able to realise that extreme potential that he's shown. Maybe too much potential, maybe it's too much pressure early doors. Let me know what you think in the comments below, would much appreciate it. Drop a like, particularly if you like this video as well. Subscribe if you're new. Cheers for watching. My name's Tommo. Thanks again. Have a good one. Ta-da.